When someone used the word Gehenna, the term conveyed a sense of total horror and disgust. Gehenna was a place of undying worm and irresistible fire, an abhorrent place where crawling maggots and smoldering heat raced each other to consume the putrefying fare served them each day. Fudge, the fire that consumes, 161 to 162. Therefore, since Gehenna was a literal place outside the walls of Jerusalem, the word should not be translated in our Bibles. We do not translate Jerusalem as city of peace, Bethel as city of God, or Gilgal as circle, even though that is what those place names mean. So also, we should not translate Gehenna as hell or any other word. It should be left as it is, thereby alerting the reader to the fact that the text is referring to the valley called Gehenna outside the gates of Jerusalem. Translating it as the Valley of Hinnom would also be fine. But even if we leave Gehenna as Gehenna, we are still faced with the question as to whether Jesus had something more in mind than the physical and literal Valley of Hinnom when he taught about Gehenna. In other words, when Jesus spoke about Gehenna, was he only speaking about the Valley of Hinnom, or was he using the imagery, history, and inherent horror of this valley to teach his listeners about the experience of some people in the afterlife? The symbolism of Gehenna. When the various texts are considered, cf. Matt 5:22, 29, 30, 10:28, 18:8-9, 23:15, 33, Mark 9:43-47, Luke 12:5, JAS 3:6, the answer becomes obvious. Jesus, and James, who is the only other person in the New Testament to speak about Gehenna, is indeed using the Valley of Hinnom in a symbolic way, but not to teach about what happens to some people in the afterlife, but rather to teach about what can happen.
Jesus was teaching about what would happen to the Jews. So many magnets there that the scripture says, and the worm never died. In other words, the magnets would not die because of the amount of food they had from the dead bodies, and the fires were unquenchable. They were unquenchable. The term is used because the fires were constantly going, because there was so much waste and so much many dead bodies to be thrown there to keep the fires going. They were physically able to be quenched, but they were just unquenchable because of their overwhelming load that they had to burn. And this is what Jesus talked about when he talked about Gehenna. He was not talking about an eternal thing, nor was he talking about in the afterlife. He was not talking about an eternal flame, because whatever went into Gehenna was burned up. It was consumed. It was annihilated. It was not a long stay in fire like the false Western ideal of hell and fire forever is. It was not a long stay. It was consumed immediately. It is important for you to know that all of the passages where Jesus used the word Gehenna, used the word hell, in the original text, the word hell was not used. In the original text, the word Gehenna was used and had the idea that we present here today and that we share with you. That was the idea behind Jesus' speech. Jesus never used the English word hell, H-E-L-L. He never heard of that word. But that word was injected into the scriptures, replacing the word with Gehenna somewhere around the 1400s by those who were not really aware that Gehenna was not literal hell. They felt that it has to be forced into the scriptures because that's what Jesus was trying to say, but they didn't really need to put words in Jesus' mouth. He didn't mean hell like the traditional English word means. He meant Gehenna. And the scripture should have been just left with that.